Okay, we should be done now. Are we?
Mine is not running.
Okay, can you share your screen? Yeah, let's look at it together.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I said mine is not running.
Yeah, you can share your screen. Share your screen. Let's look at it together.
I'm not using my laptop right now because my audio is not working on my laptop, so I changed it to my phone.
Oh, I see. Okay. Unfortunately. Okay, so is there anyone else who has problems? Yeah. Hello? Okay. I assume everybody was fine. Let's do that. So we'll begin by typing if.
Sorry, Peter. Sorry to cut you short. Maybe he can the guy that asked the question. Maybe he can explain what the problem is if it's something you can assist with, because it might be difficult for him to follow you if he's stuck somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So could you explain what you are getting? What is the error message? What's the problem?
It's not showing any error message. It's just blank.
I think one of the major issues, you could join this meeting twice, right? I mean, you could use your laptop and your phone. I mean, the audio would come from your phone and you would basically just mute your laptop and work with it. The reason is because this interface, I've never tried it on a mobile phone, so I don't know how it works. I only use it on a laptop, and if you were using a laptop,
I'm doing the coding on my laptop. It's just the Zoom meeting that I'm doing on my phone because you couldn't hear me from my laptop.
Okay, I see. Can you join the meeting with your laptop and remain on your phone?
Let me try that.
Yeah. Is anyone else having problems?
I think we are fine.
Okay. Okay, so well, as soon as we see you here,
So I think you can go on to save time, so while he gets himself sorted, and we can always assist him later. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's begin. If principal amount is less than or equal to 0, we'll print.
I've started sharing it, so I don't know if you can see.
Okay, I have to stop sharing. Okay, good. Okay, so could you drag the sidebar? Drag the margin between your editor and the black area. Drag it to your right. Yeah, drag to your right. Yeah, drag. expand it. Good. Good. Okay. So yeah, it's okay now. Yeah, click run. Oh, okay.
The indentation for the print is still like showing under def under the method. Maybe it needs to bring it out.
Yeah, that's true. That's why. Okay, so at your print statement, could you use the backspace character and take it to the same indentation level as the def keyword? And the second one. Yep. Okay. Run now.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So just indentation.
Yeah.
Sorry, this Python is very petty.
Sorry, come again.
Sorry, I'm just pulling your leg. This Python is very petty. Indentation causes it not to run.
Oh well, but once you get a hang of it, if you're using, well, once you get a hang of it, it's really not that much of a big deal. You should be fine. I mean, I also had problems when
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, you can stop sharing now so that someone else can share.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, so I was saying, so again, we say principal amount must cannot be less than or equal to 0, and we return. Yep, and then if principal amount, we don't want to calculate interest. If 1 million. And now I'm going to add a little twist to this, right? Now I don't want to type if number of years and so on and so forth. I don't want to have these two ifs. Is it possible that I combine the ifs? Yeah, I can do that. And the way I can do that is by saying if number of years is less than or equal to 0, and, right? Now I'm saying this, it must be, if it is less than or equal to 0, or sorry, or, it's not and, or number of years is greater than or equal to 100, right? Now, what? Am I missing something? Oh, how do you do O in Python? Sorry, okay. I always make that mistake. If number of years is less than or equal to 0, or, so if any of these cases are true. Now this tells you that it is possible to concatenate Boolean expressions. Maybe I have multiple conditions. Yes, I can have an if condition for every one of them, but it's also possible for me to, run all of them as one. In this case, I'm saying if number of years is less than or equal to 0, or number of years is greater than or equal to 100, I want to print you can only invest for between 1 to 99 years. Right, return. And so this is very much like these two, except that I odd or use the Boolean expressions as 1. So this expression will run if number of years is less than or equal to 0, or number of years is greater than or equal to 100. Right? Good. So let's take this for a test drive. So we'll begin with calculate simple interest. We'll begin with 1,010. We expect that this should work. I'm going to comment these out. Then print, calculate simple interest minus 1,000. Better still, I just copy everything here. And comment out, save time, and calculate simple interest. It's the same thing, copy, paste, 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 paste. Right. So let's run this and let's see. Good. So for the first case, yes, we successfully calculated simple interest. For this, the principal amount is less than 1,000, and we successfully said principal amount cannot be less than or equal to 0, right? Something interesting happened here. Calculate simple interest, minus 5.0. How did that happen? If number of years is less than or equal to 0. Oh. Minus 5 is less than 0, right?
Could the problem be coming from the OR that you use or something else?
I think so.
Use OR, yes, try that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The operator was wrong. It should be OR. So that means AND will be AND. Okay. I get these things mixed up every now and then. Okay, so like I said, for the second case, we have this. You can only invest for between 1 to 99 years. In this case, we put minus 5, which is not valid. And the same thing, we put 0 number of years, and our program accurately told us you can only invest for between 1 to 99 years. And then for these cases, 100 is a max, cannot calculate simple interest for principal of 1 million above, and this happened because of date. So I hope, so basically that's the solution, and right now our function works correctly. Okay, do we all understand? Do we have any problems? Is there something you need me to explain before I move on to something else? Okay, so no one is saying anything, so I assume we're all fine. So cool. Da Silva, how many more minutes do we have?
You have less than 25 minutes. Okay, you mean minutes to stop this session now or to end the whole training?
Yeah.
To stop this session now, I can't see, but I'll be notified when it's 10 minutes time. And for the old class today, it's less than 25 minutes.
Less than 25 minutes. Okay. Okay, so we have talked about if else, right? like I said, there are other decision-making structures in Python, and we would forward you some resources at the end of the meeting. You can go on and read them on your own and try to practice them on your own. So before we move on, I'd like to talk about something that we have been using, but I don't think anyone actually, wondered how it worked. So now we'll come to the concept of data types, right? Let's talk about data types.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Yeah. On these what's it called? If else of a thing. I don't know how these. Okay. Thank you. So you listed like if like different ifs on different lines. So can't we just do something of a nested if, like else if or something?
Okay. So yeah, good question. Let's see. I have to comment all of this again. Now, you should be careful when, typically when you're writing your program, you should write your program the way you think, right? So that you don't make mistakes. Now, let's assume that I am going to nest. Now, what you're saying is, what if I come here and put another if, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the problem with that is that that second if will only work when this condition evaluates to true. So for instance, let's say we wanted to say if principal amount is greater than or equal to 1 billion, right? If principal amount was greater than or equal to 1 million, right? Principal must be less than a million. Let's take this and let's put this here, right? Good. So what does this mean? Now, this is a very interesting scenario because we are saying if principal amount is less than or equal to 0, then you check again if principal amount is greater than or equal to 1 million. What is the implication of this? Now, let's say that principal amount is less than or equal to 0, which is this, right? Now, let's also say that this is 1 million, more than 1 million, and then comment out everything. So let's run this now. Now, do you see the problem? The problem is this. For the first case, right? We say, this is compound interest, right? Yeah. If principal amount is less than or equal to 0, then right underneath, we are still saying if principal amount is greater than or equal to 1 million. Will this ever work? Will this condition ever, does it even make sense? Because principal amount is less than or equal to 0, and at the same time, it can be greater than or equal to 1 million. They are mutually exclusive conditions. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But what I'm thinking is, okay, let's say the first one, which is principal amount is less than or equals to 0, has its own output, like a print, then followed by the next if. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, let's say like of a different thing. This one for its own print.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how to explain that thing very well. Okay, anyhow, sure.
So the thing is, it's possible to nest if statements. It's completely up to you, but yes, you can. Okay. You can. You can. Okay. You can nest if statements. It's perfectly valid, and you'll find it everywhere. People do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
The question is, does it make logical sense, right? So like I said, you don't just write programs for the sake of writing. It should make sense. It should make logical sense. Now, if I'm nesting if statements, will the logic make sense to me? Does it make sense to me? If it makes sense to me, then it's perfectly okay. But if it doesn't, then there's no need. You shouldn't nest just because you want to nest. You should nest if it makes sense, right? They are all logic expressions. Are we clear?
All right, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks.
Okay, so I think I've commented everything. Okay, so the last lesson we talked about variables, right? And we said that we have an identifier, you have the assignment operator, and then you have the value of the variable. Now, up until now, we have only been working with numbers, integers, right? And integers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 0.00, right? Decimals, whatever, right? So we have, and we refer to this as when you have a whole number, right? Like 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6. Sorry, let me put this. So if you have a variable of type integer, right, can be from 0 to 9 without decimal places or commas, right? Now, a float, the float type is any number that comprises of any digits between 0 to 9 and a decimal place of any length, right? So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever number of decimal places. But this is an integer and this is a float, right? We can also have a Boolean data type, which is either true or false. Yes, so the Boolean data type is either true or false. What other expression or what other data type do we have in Python? Okay, now we can have strings. A string is anything between quotes. So the most important thing you need to know about strings is that it begins with a quote and it ends with a quote. Anything in the middle, whether a number, comma, space, whatever, is a string, right? Now, a string can have any number of characters. It's completely up to you, right? Now, what other thing do I need to mention? So let's do this. So let's say I is equal to 0, right? And I is equal to 0.10, right? I is equal to true, right? And I is equal to a string. Now, question, the trick question. What would I be when I say print I? What would I be? Can anybody tell me?
I guess string.
Correct. So simply, like I said, your programs to read from top to bottom. I said I equal to 0. And then I said, no, I changed my mind. I don't want it to be equal to 0. I want it to be 0.10. And then I changed my mind yet again. And I said, you know what? it should be true. And then I changed my mind again and I said it should be string. So which means at this point, I is equal to string. I can say, okay, so that we'll see how this transitions. I can say after every assignment statement, I would print everything. And good. So you see that at this point, I equal to 0, I is 0. I is equals to 0.1, 0.10. I is equal to true, it's true, I is equal to a string. What does this tell us? That the fact that we assigned something to a variable does not mean that we cannot decide to change its type tomorrow. We can say, if today we say string variable A is a string, it's completely up to us to decide to say, you know what? I don't want it to be a string anymore. I want it to be a number. Your program would work regardless. But you have to be careful. Go on, ask your question.
In Python, you can't use the same variable types you use in what do you call it? Database.
Sorry, I don't understand. Can you explain?
Like the varchar as variable character.
Yeah. So
you can't use those ones.
Yeah. I'll answer your question. Now, what is a string? A string is just an unbounded array of characters. Does that make sense? Right? So it means that there is another data type which would be a char, which will be a single character, right? So I can say I equal to a character. This is a single character, X. This is different from this because this is just a single character.
Okay, sir. I'm sorry to cut in, sir.
Yeah, go on.
You know, unlike JavaScript, sorry, I'm using JavaScript as a pointer of something. So unlike JavaScript, these are what's it called? Character or string. You can just print out using either of the two quotes, maybe a single or a double quote. So in Python now, there are two different things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, just a moment. I get a drink. Yeah, okay. I'm not so sure. Okay, so I is equal to, so now when we say variable character, it means that we are saying that the length of the, when you say something is varchar, right? It means, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while. Oh, sorry. When you say something is variable character, it means you are saying that the number of characters may vary, correct? And you typically do that when you say varchar 255. Now, so when you say varchar 255 in your database, what you are saying is that this, whatever I'm going to store here, is a variable number of characters, but it cannot exceed 255. Correct?
Yes.
So which means that a variable character is also a string, because a string is an array of characters. It can be 255, it can be 1 million, it's completely up to you. But you can store a Python string in a varchar column in the database, and the database would accept it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay, instructor, you have now 10 minutes to round up.
Okay. There's another data type I wanted to talk about, but no problem. So now this brings me to the reason why I decided to go into this. Now remember that when we were applying Boolean expressions, we were comparing numbers, right? And it made perfect sense. I mean, you didn't need to think about it when you said if is 1 greater than 0, if 1 less than 0. You can also compare strings. So for instance, I can say print A is greater than B. Comment everything out here. Is A greater than B? Now, does this make sense?
No.
Now, when we are applying Boolean expressions to strings, the most important thing you need to know about the Boolean expression is it compares if operand A is before operand B, right? So when we say is A greater than B, we are asking, does A come after B or before B? I don't know, which should it be? Does A come before B or after B? I think it's after. So because typically if you were counting your characters, you would say A, right? B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, right? So how Python compares strings. B is, I'm confused, I'm sorry. Less than B, sorry. Did that run? What the hell happened? Okay. Okay, is A greater than B? Is A less than B? Okay, so yeah, back to whatever I just needed to. Now, A is less than B because B comes after A. So B is greater than A, C is greater than B, D is greater than C, and so on and so forth. So is AN less than BE? What would happen? Python will simply compare the first characters of these strings. That's all that matters. Oh, sorry. I should comment this out. Right. Now, print is ZE greater than AB. What do you think will be the result of this? Z, of course, is greater than A because Z comes after A. Now, suppose I want to check if two strings are equal. What would that mean? How will I do that? I would do the same way. That would be false. If I change this to ZE, but if I change this to ZF, would it be the same? The answer is no, it would be false. Why? Because equal to, we compare every character in both strings and ensure that they are the same. So even if I put a space here, they are no longer equal. Why? Because space, yes, even though it's just a space, it's still a character, right? And that means that this is just 2 characters long, this is 3 characters long, and then this means that 3 strings, these 2 strings, are no longer equal. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now some of the quirks. What happens if we say, what do you think would happen? Can anyone take a guess?
To me, it should be an error because you're comparing string with integer.
Good, nice, right? So what does this mean? You can't compare 2 data types. You can't compare 2 variables if they are of different data types. So for instance, if I said I equal to 5, 4. Oh, sorry. I is equal to 5, and I said J is equal to JIKE. And I said, is I greater than J? Now, this would be maxed, but you should see the same error. Right? Now notice that I is an integer and J is a string. And the error tells us that you cannot do this. You cannot compare instances of integers and strings, right? But if I change this to 6, now, sorry. Good. Is I greater than 6? No, that's not possible. So it's correct. So fundamental rule about using Boolean expressions is that you can only compare values, you can only compare variables of the same type. You can only compare a string to another string, an integer to another integer, a Boolean to another Boolean, but not across. You can't say compare a number to a string, except you convert that number to a string. So in our next class, we'll look at conversion between data types, and then we'll look at how we can make this, we can make our compound interest functions, compound interest functions, and our simple interest functions a command line utility. Now, what do I mean by that? Less than a minute, but I'll quickly do that. Now, when I do this, can you see my screen? Oh, sorry. Okay, so that will be all for today. I wanted to show us what a command line utility looks like, but it looks like we're out of time, and I will continue in our next class.
Okay, thank you very much, our instructor. So we'll continue next week, and thank you everyone for your time, for your patience. So we'll see you next week.
One more
excuse
thing.
me, Mr.
If
Yes?
you have questions, you can send us an email, please. I wanted to say that.
Okay.
All right, sir. Okay, Mr. Da Silva, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So, are we going to get another mail, like a link for? Although I don't know if you've decided about what's it called, tomorrow's lecture, since you said it's your own private time.
Yeah,
So we
I'll
don't
be
know.
busy tomorrow. I won't take the lecture, but we'll continue on Tuesday for that. Tuesday.
All right, sir. All right,
Because
sir.
in the morning on Monday we'll be having Node.js. In the evening we'll